everybody. Thank you for joining Authors on the Air. I'm your host, Deborah Ledford, and I am so honored to present Nick Medina on the program. Say hello to the folks, Nick.
Hi, everybody. How you doing? Hi, Deborah. Thanks for having me.
Oh, gosh. Uh, my episodes for Authors on the Air primarily focus on Native American and Indigenous authors, and I'm so thrilled that you could join us to talk about your amazing Indian burial ground. Look at that.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much.
Yes, this is your second book, right?
Yeah, it's my second
And
book.
your debut was Sisters of a Lost Nation, which that was a 2003 Amazon editor's pick.
Yeah.
Wow. Also a great book.
Very lucky with that.
So Indian Burial Ground, as I said, is your latest release. Can you give us a little overall peek about the book and the lead characters?
Yeah, for sure. The book follows two key characters. We have Noemi. She's kind of in the present. We have two timelines as well, but they ultimately merge together. So we have Noemi in the present day, and then we have her uncle Louie in the 1980s. And Louie helped raise Noemi when she was a little girl, so you get to see her as a child in his storyline. But the story really is a family drama. It revolves around intergenerational traumas, and in the story, Noemi is kind of down on her luck. She's 40 years old. She's had a little bit of a rough time in life. Suddenly, things are starting to look up. She's got a boyfriend who she loves. She's looking forward to the future with him, but he ends up dead. And it's not clear what exactly happened to him. There are some strange circumstances that suggest suicide. Noemi can't believe that. She doesn't think he would ever do that. And when Uncle Louie starts to hear the details of what happened, he starts to wonder if maybe Noemi's boyfriend's death might be connected to some pretty terrible things that happened to him when he was a child, because he lived through some traumatic events as well. So together, Louie and Noemi have to come together and find out what's going on. And really, it's about trying to overcome those things that we sometimes bury inside ourselves, those traumas that we try to get rid of. But as a lot of us know, when you try to bury something without really dealing with it, sometimes it comes back to haunt you. And oftentimes it comes back far uglier and far more frightening than when you tried to get rid of it in the first place.
So true. You feature so many captivating visuals in Indian Burial Ground. I just want to read a little example from chapter 3.
For sure.
What did you want to tell me? He eyed a cluster of wildflowers along the road, vibrant and alive. They thrived in the ditches and out in the fields, breaking up the reservation's disheartening shades of sun-baked brown and yellow, like warm rays of light penetrating a stormy sky. Oh, that is so beautiful. I just love that.
Thank you. It sounds great when you read it.
Yeah, I mean, literally right from the top, you paint such visual imagery that sets us right there in the setting. Can you tell us a little bit about the setting? I mean, the location and so forth that you chose?
Yeah. The story takes place in Louisiana on a fictional Native American reservation, but it is based off of my experience, and I'm a member of the Tunica Biloxi tribe, which is located in central Louisiana. So I use that as a lot of inspiration for the settings and some of the events and some of the characters in the book as well. And nice. The setting, I did, since it's fictionalized, I did get to play with it a bit and try to make it maybe a little darker, a little spookier at times. Louisiana is great for that because there are the bayous and the swamps, things like that, and the alligators, of course, which really factor into this book.
Right.
The alligators are also a very important part of my tribe's beliefs and their stories. So I wanted to incorporate that in this book as well. So yeah, a lot of the setting is really just drawn from my experience and seeing what it's like down on the Tunica Biloxi Reservation in Louisiana.
So this is such an amazing book. I mean, everybody, look at all these marked passages. I love this book. So not only are the words, I mean, they're lyrical, literary, you've also got a rock and mystery and a horror elements going on as well. And it's so great because, I mean, you build such a beautiful crescendo to it's like, oh, becomes a little terrifying. Um, I was just blown away how you brilliantly present these chapters that happened in the past, as you mentioned,
Mhm.
interwoven with chapters in the character, of the character for the characters, decades later. Was developing those character arcs a challenge for you?
It wasn't as hard as you might think. And I have to be honest, I wrote the first draft of this book years ago, but it only addressed Louie's character. Uh,
Oh,
and it had Noemi in it as a little girl, but it didn't have her as an adult, and it didn't have that present day timeline. And so I had written that draft, and it kind of just sat around on my hard drive, and I didn't come back to it until I was working on Sisters of the Lost Nation, and then I completed it after Sisters of the Lost Nation, um, because I had shared it with my editor, and she said,
mhm.
this is a good story, but it's not complete. She said there's still something missing here, and so that's when I started thinking about the characters that were in Sisters of the Lost Nation, because Noemi is in Sisters, but she's 13 years old in that.
Right.
And so I started thinking about her and her mother, Lula, who's also in Indian Burial Ground. And I just started wondering, where would they be today? What's going on with them? And this story just kind of came together. And so it was fairly easy to kind of insert her story in with Louis' story, even though I hadn't conceived of them together. They just
Uh-huh.
played together very well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's so fascinating and yeah, and woven. I mean, it's like the perfect blanket, with always with the mistake in it, because there's never perfection.
Right.
But let's talk about drums. Ooh. So my latest series takes place on the Taos Pueblo,
Yeah.
and there are a few master drum craftsmen that I was able to speak to and watch them work. And I mean, they're so stunning, and the sound is inspiring and haunting. If anyone has ever been to a powwow, oh my, those drums! I also feature drums in Havoc, and the drum is a significant symbol in Indian burial ground. So, can you tell us a little about what the drum means to people of that particular tribe?
Yeah.
Or imagine, but
Drum, yeah, the drum is a very symbolic instrument. Just even the shape of it, it's round, so it can represent different things. Represent the earth. It could represent us, our brains, our face, our characteristics, and it mimics the beats of our heart. When you
right.
hear it, when you're at a celebration or a powwow, and you hear that drum, it impacts how you move, how you walk. You can't escape that drum sound. Like you said, when you hear it, it just kind of takes you over, and it infiltrates your entire body, and it's a very inspirational, sound, and it's something that keeps us steady. Like I wrote in the book, keeps us steady in war, keeps us steady in our daily lives. It can serve as a reminder of how we need to hold ourselves and be steady ourselves, and keep calm and address the things that are bothering us in life. And so yeah, it's a very important instrument, very symbolic instrument, one that's obviously lasted the ages, and which will continue to be part of our celebrations for.
Absolutely. Beating of the heart. Yeah, that's so great. And then also animals play a big part.
Yeah.
The mythical and long held beliefs to Native people.
Mhm.
Indian burial ground takes place in Louisiana, as you mentioned. Alligators are quite prominent,
Oh yeah. Love.
as well as coyotes, other animals as well. But how did you decide which animals and totems you would present in the storyline?
Well, for this one, I knew alligators from the start were going to play a major role in this book. Actually, the original title of the book was "Gators Don't Chew," which is a kind of a refrain that comes up several times throughout the book, and it's something that
Right.
I love. Just those three words mean so much to me. Gators don't chew, because it could stand for so much.
I know.
It can have
You
so
need to
many.
do a short. You need to do a follow-up short story with that title.
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe I would.
that'd be
Uh,
brilliant.
but yeah, it's something that serves almost as a motto in my life, or a slogan, because it just reminds you to stand tough. Just like the alligator, don't take any nonsense. You're not going to chew. You're just going to swallow it whole. You're going to take it on. Um, how did I choose with Coyote? Coyote's a character that I really love. He takes many different forms in Native folklore. One of his main forms being the trickster, so he sometimes gets up to trouble, can be a funny character. Oftentimes, of course, there's a lesson to learn from him and his antics. And I just thought it was a character that I wanted to use because there were multiple ways that I could use him, because I could use him as that trickster, because there's a part in the book where he gives maybe a little bit of a laugh via the story, even though there's these really heavy, awful things going on. You can kind of laugh at Coyote, but Coyote can also be used as more of an intimidating character, a frightening character, and that's how I kick off the book with Coyote making a brief appearance at the end of the prologue. So
right.
That was one that just stuck out to me, because I read a lot of Native folklore. I have several books that I really love, and that's just one of the characters that I've always kind of cherished.
I love him.
Yeah.
There's some jaw-dropping, I mean, off the charts wild scenes once the horror element starts taking hold.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not going to give anything away, but the bad spirits that take hold are terrifying. And your words are so masterful. I mean, I believe every single horrifying sequence. It's like, this is actually happening. So, I mean, was that difficult, maybe psychologically, and stepping into that type of mind frame?
Yeah, it can be, especially if you don't mind me talking a little about Sisters of the Lost Nation. That one was a tougher book for me to get through because of and maybe I should talk a little bit about what it's about. It revolves around the epidemic of Native women and girls going missing, being murdered, abused. And so for the research with that book, I was reading and watching all of these families who are just absolutely heartbroken, searching for their lost loved ones. And so when you're spending hour after hour, day after day, month after month, kind of in that world, and seeing how much pain these people are going through, it can be really tough to just kind of exist in that state for however long you're writing the book. And I went through a similar thing with my next book, which comes out this year and which is related to Indian Burial Ground. It's kind of the follow-up to Indian Burial Ground. And that one involves, loss of autonomy, loss of, it involves paralysis and things like that. And so it was kind of the same process where I was researching all these people who were living with these challenges that they didn't choose to live with, of course. And so that really kind of it impacted my mental health. I'll put it that way. It was tough to be in that state for so many months. Right. But of course I get to leave it, and other people don't. They have to live with that the rest of their lives. So I feel lucky that I'm able to explore it, but not have to endure it all the time. But with Indian Burial Ground, there are several things in that book that are quite personal to me. A lot of it does deal with things like, mental health, addiction, stuff like that. And I mentioned suicide. That's not something that I've experienced personally with anyone close to me, thankfully, but it is something that's very prominent in Native communities. And it's something that is actually getting worse instead of getting better. And so, reading about those types of things, especially since the suicide epidemic is impacting young adults, young Native teenagers, children, basically. And like I said, it's getting worse. I'll just boil it down to saying, instead of getting better, the problem is getting worse, and it's impacting a lot of young adults and children. And the statistics are rising when it comes to suicides by firearm. And it's something that needs to be addressed on the, more of the federal level, the government level, because even though the government does have suicide prevention programs in place, a lot of Natives don't trust those programs, and they're not geared towards Natives either. So they're not really making much of a difference in our communities.
Yeah, it's so tragic.
Yeah.
So you mentioned The Whistler coming out. You're also a contributing author to the outstanding anthology Never Whistle at Night.
Yes.
And all of these horror stories are, by Native and Indigenous writers. And your story, Quantum, it's really chilling.
Yeah.
It's such a great collection of short stories, co-edited by Shane Hawk. Everybody, I interviewed Shane as well, a previous guest, so check that one out as well. Um, so give us a little bit about the one that's coming up.
Oh yeah, the Whistler. So, and if I could say just about Never Whistle at Night, I felt so lucky to be a part of that, to be with all of those amazing authors. I didn't even think I would get accepted, so it was such a thrill when I found out that I was going to be able to be in that anthology, and it really has kind of changed my life because that book is killing it. It's been on the bestseller list for over
70. Yeah, over 70 weeks. It's amazing.
Incredible. And so many people reach out to me and say, hey, I found you through that book. So I'm so thankful.
Nice.
So thankful for that anthology and to be a part of it. And I'm glad you're giving it another shout out. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
But with The Whistler, that one is about a young man who he's in his early 20s, and suddenly his life has taken a very drastic change. He was on the verge of great success. He was a ghost hunter. He was releasing these creepy videos online and growing a following and getting a big audience. And then all of a sudden his world came crashing down. I'm not going to tell you exactly what happened, but I will tell you it is linked to Indian Burial Ground, and it will give you an answer to a question that I left open in Indian Burial Ground. Nice. So the mystery kind of revolves around all of that. And it does also tie back to Sisters of the Lost Nation. So I was able to bring everything kind of full circle, and I'm really excited about it. Also, I should probably give you a little bit more of a taste of the horror element. This young man is haunted by a specter that's trying to steal everything that he loves, and he has to, find a way to overcome it. And it's going to have to, it's going to lead him back to the day that he got injured, because he is now paralyzed. That's the, that's what I was referring to when I said his world kind of came crashing down. So he's got a lot to deal with, and he's got a lot of secrets as well. Put it.
That sounds fascinating. I can't wait. Okay, everybody, go out and get Indian Burial Ground. Devour these magical words, and then please leave a glowing review on Amazon and Goodreads. We authors need your help spreading the word. That's how we get the words out about our books, and reviews help us decide what other readers will read next. So Nick, this has been an absolute pleasure. I thank you so much, my friend. This is everybody, this is a spectacular read. And I wish the best for you and your words.
Thank you. I truly appreciate it. And likewise, back at you. Hopefully we can do this again.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Be back next time.